Finding out you're autistic later in life can come with a lot to unpack. You might be feeling overwhelmed and emotional, and you might be wondering how to embrace your autistic traits after spending a lifetime hiding them away. One of the things you will hear a lot of people talking about is unmasking. But what exactly is that?
Hi, I'm Orla. I am an Irish artist, and about 2 years ago I found out that I'm autistic. And I wanted to set this channel up to talk about my experiences as a late diagnosed autistic person, as well as share some of my art. And before we get into today's video, you can please like and subscribe if you want to follow me along my journey. And if you are a late diagnosed autistic person, share your own tips down below. And as you can see by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about unmasking. So, masking is when people hide or minimize their autistic traits to appear like less autistic or more neurotypical. And while it's associated with autistic people, other neurodivergent people mask as well. But because I'm autistic, I can just speak from that experience and only my own experience. So for me, masking means that I put up with behaviors and situations that cause me distress, and that will just constantly drain my mental battery. And this could be things like forcing eye contact when I don't want to, or forcing myself to speak when I can find myself verbally shutting down. And it's a coping mechanism for living in a world that is not designed for you. As a disabled person, we grew up being told that we're too stupid or weird or different when we're really being ourselves. So a lot of us just mask and just hide away parts of ourselves that we kind of just learn to hate, and we just turn ourselves into completely different people in order to fit in. But when it comes to masking, it's not sustainable. And since finding out that I'm autistic, I've been trying to figure out how to unmask and how to kind of embrace parts of myself that I hate, that I learned to hate. And these are just some of the things that I've learned over the past 2 years. So the number one tip I would give to any late diagnosed autistic person, or just autistic in general, is when it comes to unmasking, think about your safety. Your safety should always come first, because there's a lot of talk, especially online, about unmasking and how amazing it is to unmask and embrace your autism. And while that's true, I feel like people can forget that everybody's situation is different. And just because it might be safe for you to unmask, it might not be safe for another person to unmask. And you know your situation best. So if it's not safe for you to unmask and embrace your autism, and you're one of those autistic people that can mask, your safety should always be your priority. And you should focus on protecting yourself and keeping yourself safe until you're in a situation where you are safe. Your mask will protect you until you're ready to let it go. So the next tip I have when it comes to unmasking is to do it in your own time. It's taken you years to build up the masks that you use to protect yourself. So it's okay if it takes a while to let some of them go. And some of them you might never let go. No timeline when it comes to unmasking. And we kind of live in a social media age where we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, but everybody's circumstances and comfort levels are different. So while unmasking can be a positive thing, it's also really hard and really scary, because you are kind of embracing the parts that you've learned to hate over the years and that you've kind of hidden away for so long. So take whatever steps that you're comfortable with and do it in your own time.
Who are you when you're alone? Do you talk to yourself? Or wear specific clothes? Maybe you make hand motions or noises when you speak or think. Think about who you are when you're alone and only managing yourself. You might feel relaxed when you're not around other people. Thinking about who you are when you're alone can help you figure out what your unmasked self looks like.
So on the flip side of that, think about who you are when you're around other people. Are you kind of forcing yourself to make eye contact, even though it makes you uncomfortable? The reason I do that is because I don't want people to be upset or I don't want to offend anybody. I also flap my hands when I stim, but I do it less when I'm around other people because I get strange looks and I get people questioning me as to why I'm kind of flapping my hands like that. Um, and like many autistic people, I've been told to stop fidgeting and moving around and to smile more and to talk less and comply. And we are told this and we do this to avoid criticism and to blend in. Um, and you might like some of the behaviors that you engage in when you're around other people, and you don't have to get rid of them if you don't want to. However, there are some behaviors that you will do just because other people are there, and you feel like you need to engage in these behaviors to appease other people, and you're afraid of what happens if you don't engage in these behaviors. And if that's the only reason why you engage in that behavior, you might kind of find it hard to find your self-expression. So taking the time to understand yourself can help you separate out your true behaviors from the ones you do to make others happy. When you first start to unmask, it might feel unnatural at first, but that doesn't mean that the behaviors that you're engaging in are unnatural. Instead, you might have some internal ableism that you just need to work through. So growing up not knowing that I was autistic, I was always told, I'm stupid and weird and strange and slow and too much when I was simply being myself. And when you're constantly told those things from an early age, you internalize that and feel that way about yourself. For example, I find it very regulating to rock back and forth. But when I first started to unmask, I found this uncomfortable because I've been told all my life that I was wrong. But that behavior, that rocking back and forth, it feels natural to me. And I try to push past that discomfort and embrace it. But like everything else when it comes to unmasking, it takes time to embrace what comes naturally to you and what behaviors come naturally to you. A lot of the time, autistic and other neurodivergent people, we are told that our special interests are like irrelevant or a waste of time. But our interests, they're our source of creativity and of joy. And learning how to find your joy in your special interests is a really great way of discovering the joy in yourself. So if you are a late diagnosed autistic person, think about what you like to do as a child. Did you draw? Did you read? What was it that brought you joy the most? So for me, engaging with my inner child has been one of the best ways of embracing my autism and letting go of like a lifetime of shame. And I think when it comes to our special interests, as long as we are not harming other people, I don't think we should be made to feel ashamed of the interests that we have, because they're a huge part of who we are and they add such a big joy to our lives that they're a huge part of our lives. So when I found out that I'm autistic, I knew nothing about disability or autism or anything like that. And I'm still learning. And surrounding yourself with people who have a similar brain to yours and like the same neurotype, it's incredibly healing. And just because like they will get you on a level that like non-autistic people will get you, and they also understand the difficulties of being disabled in a world that is not the nicest to us. So find your neurodivergent family. Your neurodivergent family will help you unmask. They will help you make sense of your diagnosis, and they'll give you a safe space to just process everything. The one thing I will say is that it's incredibly important to find a neurodivergent community that validates your authenticity. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do that. You know, you can join groups on Facebook or Discord, or you can join local meetup groups if they're available in your area. But the important thing when finding your neurodivergent family is that they understand you and they affirm your neurodivergent identity. Unmasking is hard. It is, because when you spend your whole life kind of hiding away parts of yourself, it is really, really hard to now embrace them and to let go of that shame. So your journey of unmasking, it won't be a linear one, or it won't be a quick one. And you will go through like a lot of emotions and a lot of memories that you are kind of hiding away your whole life, and that can be really, really difficult to process. So I think it's really important that you give yourself that time and understanding, because when you begin to explore your identity, you do have a greater peace and contentment within yourself. And you begin to put yourself first and to put your needs first. But it's important that you go at your own pace and remember that this is your journey. And if you have made it to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. And if you are a late diagnosed autistic person, please feel free to comment below what tips you have or what your story is, if you feel comfortable to do that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.